From the moment we wake up to the moment we fall asleep, an invisible force shapes our lives more than any external circumstance, our internal dialogue. This constant stream of thoughts, reflections, and silent conversations dictates not only how we feel, but also how we act, react, and ultimately, the reality we experience. It is as if we are the narrators of our own lives, scripting the events before they unfold. Yet, few of us recognize the immense power we wield over this narrative, and fewer still take intentional steps to shape it in our favor. Science has long affirmed what philosophers and spiritual teachers have taught for centuries. The thoughts we repeatedly entertain sculpt the brain itself. Neuroplasticity, the brain's remarkable ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections, proves that the conversations we have in our minds are not idle chatter. When we think a thought repeatedly, we strengthen the neural pathways associated with it, making it easier for the brain to default to that pattern. This means that negative internal dialogue, self-criticism, worry, and doubt physically carves itself into our brain's wiring, making such thought patterns automatic over time. On the other hand, consciously cultivating positive internal dialogue, self-encouragement, gratitude, and envisioning success literally rewires the brain for resilience, confidence, and well-being. Consider a study conducted by Dr. Norman Doidge, a leading researcher in neuroplasticity. His work illustrates that stroke patients who lost the ability to move certain limbs were able to regain function by imagining themselves moving the affected limb repeatedly. Their brains adapted, rerouting neural pathways until the imagined movement became reality. If this is possible for something as tangible as regaining physical movement, imagine the implications for something as fluid as shaping our emotional and psychological states through inner speech. Philosophy, too, has long acknowledged the power of thought in shaping reality. The ancient Stoics, for example, emphasized that we do not suffer from external events themselves, but from our interpretations of them. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This idea is echoed in modern psychology, particularly in cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, which helps individuals change destructive thought patterns by becoming aware of and restructuring their internal dialogue. Yet, awareness alone is not enough. If we wish to change our lives, we must take deliberate steps to shift our inner conversations. Imagine for a moment that your mind is a garden. Every thought is a seed, and whatever you consistently plant, whether thoughts of possibility or thoughts of limitation, will grow and take root. If you find yourself frequently dwelling on regrets, fears, or frustrations, you are watering weeds. If instead you nurture thoughts of gratitude, determination, and hope, you are cultivating a landscape that will bear fruit in the form of a richer, more fulfilling life. One of the most practical ways to begin this transformation is through conscious self-observation. Throughout the day, pause and ask yourself, what am I saying to myself right now? Is this thought serving me, or is it holding me back? By catching negative self-talk in the moment, you interrupt the automatic cycle and open the door to choosing a different, more empowering response. For instance, if your mind says, "I'm too old to learn something new," recognize this for what it is: a belief, not a fact. Replace it with a thought that opens doors rather than closes them. I have a lifetime of wisdom, and I can learn at any stage of life. Another powerful practice is mental rehearsal, a technique used by elite athletes, performers, and even astronauts. Studies have shown that vividly imagining a desired outcome activates the same neural circuits as actually experiencing it. Olympic skier Lindsey Vonn, for example, would mentally ski every race before physically competing, training her mind to align with success. You can apply this same principle in daily life. If you want to cultivate more confidence in social situations, spend a few minutes each day visualizing yourself engaging in conversations with ease and warmth. If you seek to improve your health, imagine yourself walking with strength and vitality. The mind does not distinguish between vividly imagined experience and reality. It simply strengthens whatever it repeatedly encounters. Perhaps one of the most profound findings in this field comes from Dr. Barbara Fredrickson, a psychologist whose research on positive emotions reveals that people who consciously shift their internal dialogue to focus on gratitude and optimism not only experience greater life satisfaction, but also enhance their physical health. Their immune systems strengthen, their cardiovascular health improves, and they live longer, healthier lives. This means that the way you speak to yourself is not just about feeling good, it is a direct investment in your longevity and well-being. So what can you do today to begin this transformation? First, set a simple intention. I will become aware of my internal dialogue. Carry a small notebook or use your phone to jot down recurring thoughts, particularly those that arise in moments of stress or self-doubt. Second, challenge those thoughts. Are they based on truth, or are they merely outdated scripts playing in your mind? Third, replace unhelpful narratives with empowering ones. Instead of, I am stuck in my ways, try, I am always growing and adapting. Instead of, it's too late to change, affirm, every moment is a fresh start. Above all, practice consistency. Changing internal dialogue is not a one-time event. It is a daily commitment, much like tending to a garden. The more you nurture empowering thoughts, the more they take root and flourish. And in doing so, you step into your role, not as a passive observer of life, but as an active creator of your reality. The mind is a tool, perhaps the most powerful one we possess. It is time to use it with intention. If your thoughts are the architects of your reality, then your internal conversations are the builders, laying down brick by brick the structure of your future. The mind is not a passive observer, it is an active participant in shaping experience. What you consistently say to yourself, whether in quiet whispers of self-encouragement or in the hidden murmurs of doubt and regret, sets the stage for what unfolds in your life. The question is not whether you are creating through thought you are. The real question is, are you creating intentionally? Science and philosophy converge on this truth. Neuroscience has demonstrated that mental rehearsal, the act of vividly imagining, an experience activates the same neural pathways as actually living through that experience. Dr. Alvaro Pascual Leon, a neurologist at Harvard Medical School, conducted a remarkable study where participants were split into two groups. One physically practiced, playing a simple piano melody, while the other merely imagined playing it, focusing intensely on each movement in their minds. Astonishingly, both groups showed identical changes in their brain structures. This means that your mind does not distinguish between reality and imagination. It simply strengthens whatever you focus on. If a musician can train their fingers without moving them, then you can train your mind to align with the reality you wish to create, simply by directing your internal conversations toward it. Yet, many of us unknowingly train our minds in the wrong direction. We replay past failures, dwell on what is lacking, or anticipate future struggles as if preparing for battle. This negative mental rehearsal reinforces neural pathways that keep us stuck in patterns of doubt, fear, and stagnation. But the good news is that the same mechanism that traps us can also liberate us. By consciously redirecting our inner dialogue, we can carve new pathways in the brain. Pathways that lead not to limitation, but to expansion. The ancient Stoics understood this principle long before modern neuroscience confirmed it. Epictetus taught that we are not disturbed by events themselves, but by our interpretations of them. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, echoed this sentiment in his groundbreaking book, Man's Search for Meaning, where he described how even in the most inhumane conditions, those who maintained an inner dialogue of purpose and hope fared better than those who succumbed to despair. So how do we apply this wisdom practically? The first step is to become aware of the stories you tell yourself. Your internal dialogue is a script, and like any script, it can be rewritten. Begin by observing your thoughts, particularly in moments of stress or uncertainty. If you catch yourself saying, "I can't do this," pause and challenge it. Ask, is this an absolute truth? Or is it merely a belief I have repeated so often that it feels like truth? More often than not, it is the latter. Instead, replace it with, I am learning, I am growing, I am capable. This may seem simple, but do not mistake simplicity for ineffectiveness. Studies in positive psychology, such as those by Dr. Martin Seligman, have shown that individuals who consistently reframe negative thoughts into positive, solution-oriented ones experience greater levels of well-being, resilience, and even improved physical health. Beyond simple reframing, the next step is visualization paired with internal dialogue. If you desire a specific outcome, better health, deeper relationships, or renewed purpose, do not merely wish for it, live it internally before it manifests externally. The legendary basketball coach Phil Jackson, who led Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls to 6 NBA championships, used guided mental imagery to prepare his players for victory. He had them visualize the perfect game, complete with the sounds of the crowd, the sensation of the ball in their hands, and the rhythm of a flawless shot. You too can apply this technique in everyday life. If you want to improve your physical vitality, close your eyes and see yourself moving with ease and strength. Hear the sound of your steady breath. Feel the energy in your limbs. If you seek greater confidence in social interactions, mentally rehearse, speaking with warmth and assurance. Engage all your senses. What do you hear, see, and feel? Neuroscience tells us that when we do this repeatedly, the brain treats it as reality, strengthening the neural connections that make the envisioned state more accessible. However, internal transformation is not just about thinking differently. It is about aligning thought with action. If your internal dialogue tells you that you are strong, but your daily choices contradict that belief, the mind remains unconvinced. Therefore, embody your new internal conversations in small, tangible ways. If you tell yourself, "I am active and engaged," then prove it. Take a daily walk, join a community group, learn something new. If you affirm, "I am surrounded by love and connection," then reach out to an old friend, start a meaningful conversation, or offer kindness to a stranger. When thought and action are in harmony, transformation becomes inevitable. Resistance is natural in this process. The mind, like a river, prefers the well-worn path, even if that path leads to places we no longer wish to go. But resistance is not a stop sign, it is a guidepost. It reveals where our old beliefs and new aspirations collide, urging us to look deeper. If you find yourself doubting, do not suppress it. Examine it. Ask, what am I afraid of losing if I change? Often, we cling to familiar narratives, even painful ones, because they feel safe. Recognizing this allows us to move through resistance with awareness rather than avoidance. Ultimately, mastering internal dialogue is not about blind positivity, it is about conscious creation. It is about choosing, moment by moment, what kind of life we wish to cultivate and ensuring that our thoughts, words, and actions align with that vision. You're not merely an observer of your life, you are its author. Your internal conversations are the ink with which you write your story. So choose your words wisely. Speak as the person you wish to become. Think in alignment with the reality you wish to experience, and most importantly, act in a way that makes that reality inevitable. The mind listens to the words we whisper to ourselves. Make sure it is hearing a story worth living.